I'm Cass. I'm BD manager, and also I'm working for a content manager for the Coincumedia. So it's really nice to meet you today, Eric.
Cool. Yeah, you too.
Okay, so maybe can you introduce a little bit about yourself? And then after that we will begin the interview.
Yeah, sure thing. Hi, my name's Eric. I'm with Superlayer. I do economy design. Superlayer is a venture studio, just creating a bunch of Web3 startups. And we kind of incubate them in the 0 to 1 process, from ideation to some, maybe Series A is when they would spin off. And so my job is to sort of advise on various projects economy design, everything from the tokenomics to more kind of game design kind of stuff. My background is in video games. I spent 7 years at Riot Games. They make League of Legends and Valorant, these kind of online, esports games. I've switched over to Web3 just because, there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. And, my academic background was in economics. And so, there's just so much interesting experimentation going on in crypto that, it really drew me in.
I also same. So before I also mostly of my experience, I spend most of the time with the content, but traditional one. And also I'm a big fan of Riot, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I'm sucks at League of Legends, but I'm pretty good at TFT.
Nice.
So yeah. So I also accidentally know about crypto space, and then I start to look into the blockchain and read some books about it, and find it's pretty interesting, and also I think it's pretty potential and would be booming in the future, near future. Okay, so I guess a little bit introduction. So we will start the interview. So I have sent you some of the questions. So it's mostly based on those questions. And yeah. So the first one,
cool.
Can you tell me a brief description about your company's activity, your values, and SuperLayer's mission?
Yeah. So SuperLayer I mentioned briefly, but they're a venture studio. So we bring projects kind of from 0 to 1. Specifically, it's a lot of consumer facing, Web3 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we have a project I'm going to loosely describe it as crypto Twitter. There's one that's crypto fantasy sports. Another one is crypto OnlyFans. It's a lot of, consumer web, and the kind of core belief behind that is hey, crypto obviously shown a ton of potential, especially in the DeFi summer of the last couple of years, but it's getting to the point where we believe mass adoption is coming, and we kind of want to be on the bleeding edge of that, and hopefully one of our projects is one of those mass adoption features. So yeah. We've got a couple projects, I mentioned a few of them. So on Solana, and there's a new fund starting, making projects based on Polygon. It's a lot of fun working across a lot of these different ideas because, I'm as someone at the venture level, I'm not shackled to one specific project. I get to kind of, tinker around with a lot of them. That's SuperLayer in a nutshell. The founders previously founded Rally, which is a social creator coin thing, and before that Forte, which does helps game companies build blockchain games. They've been in crypto for a while.
Okay, so in this recent market condition, do you think what signal might dispel pessimism in the market following a string of disaster?
Yeah, it was an interesting question. I mean, it's a big question, right? So thinking about the most recent downturn, part of it is crypto, right? Obviously, there's a bunch of hacks and Luna and big high profile things collapsing, but a lot of it is the global macroeconomic conditions, right? And I think that's kind of what makes this winter different than the last couple. The last couple were crypto boomed and bust, but the rest of the economy mostly just kept chugging along. There's small localized recessions, but this one's different where it's in the past ones, it was like 90% crypto was crashing. This time it's 50% crypto, 50%, just global economy. Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I believe it will recover, right? You've seen the graphs. It goes up and down and up and down. And the interesting thing is that the boom and bust cycles seem to be getting faster. Like in the past, like it would reach a peak and it would collapse, and it would like the amount of time between all-time highs was much longer. And, with all these institutional investors and more sophisticated financial tools, it seems like the market, moves a lot more quickly. So yeah, if I had to guess, it'll recover, and it'll recover more quickly this time.
Yeah, I also believe that because back in the past, we can see like a lot of crypto crashes, and then it takes a long time for them to recover, and also the market. And we also think that because we technically we receive a lot of news, and there are a lot of technology tech firm. They actually they want to put the crypto in investing in crypto as well. So they could put the blockchain to the traditional economy as well. So it's a combination between two. So I think this crypto winter is definitely different from the last crypto winter.
Yeah. I guess the one point of pessimism I have is, I mentioned the global economy, right? If there's a global 2008 style financial crisis, then that might set us back a while. But that's kind of outside of our industry's control.
Yeah, but I believe that this crypto winter is not going to last for long. So when do you think the market will start recover back? Do you have any verdict?
I mean, if I knew, I'd be a trader, not a designer. I think. Gosh, yeah. To be honest, if I knew, I'd be trading. I'm confident within 5 years. I'm very confident within 10 years. I'm pretty confident within 5 years. 2 years, 1 or 2 years is where I feel a little iffy. Not sure.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also based on the news right now, and then according to the economic situation right now. So maybe 1 and 2 years, I'm not really sure as well. But I believe that by the end of this year, and then the upcoming 2023, maybe there will be some good signal ahead. Hope so. Okay. How far do you believe the crypto industry will progress in the global economy and technological transformation in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think when I first got in, when I was getting into crypto this time around, there's a lot of narratives about, it's like the internet, and the internet got into everything, and therefore crypto is going to get into everything. I'm a little less sure of that. It's fundamentally a financial or public infrastructure, which I think it'll start working its way into anything where, ownership or publicly verifiable data, anything that needs this public infrastructure, where that makes sense. But I don't think it's necessarily going to get into everything the way the internet, the internet is how you get a taxi. The internet is how you order food. The internet is how you verify your identity. It's not obvious to me that it'll reach into everything the same way, but I think long-term, anything where there's value being transacted or any need for public verification, I think crypto will be there in some form or another. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting because if you think back in the past, right, when human being first reached to the internet, so I still remember by that time a lot of people doubting about what is internet, and then they started to have some theory saying that internet is some bad side, you guys shouldn't reach out to that. But then
the dark web.
The dark web and everything. But hey, look, we are on internet right now, and we are love it. So I think Yeah, so for the crypto industry, like it's like a new land, and then we are trying to like discover like different angle of them and trying to make use of them in a good way. So hopefully, like maybe, uh, how many years do you think like crypto will be like, or more specifically, like Web3 will be the next internet?
Yeah, I think there needs to be some kind of killer app. When I think about the old internet, it was like, it was used for some stuff, but it was kind of niche. Like, I guess early on, people used it to watch porn, and then like that was probably the main killer app early on. And then at some point, it became social media.
Mhm.
And I think, when people started using the internet to look up people on Facebook or to watch videos on YouTube, I think that's when it really started being everywhere. And then once everyone was connected to the internet, then more and more stuff gets built on top of it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what is the porn or the social media for Web3, where like everyone starts using it for this one thing, and because now everyone's hooked up. Our guests, as SuperLayers guests, we think like, okay, social media is an option. That's why we're making crypto Twitter. I think games are a potential vector. But yeah, we'll see. I believe it's hard to predict what will be the killer app, but yeah, something will come that'll sort of break the doors open.
Okay, that's very good. So let's talk a little bit about like SuperLayer and your team. So can you share with us like how your project and your team formed? Like what inspired you guys?
Yeah, so the founders, Kevin Chu and Mahesh, like I mentioned, they had worked on Rally previously. I think they founded Rally and Forte previously, so two other crypto-related startups. Forte does sort of blockchain. It helps games, like traditional game developers, build blockchain games. And Rally is like a social creator coin thing where like, Twitch streamers can make their own coin and, sell it and stuff. So anyway, yeah, they have some background, and, for them, they were like, hey, we believe that mass consumers adoption is coming. We believe that, Web3 is going to be a big thing. And moreover, both they enjoy doing the 0 to 1 process more, and also, you get more shots on goal, right? Like you're a higher likelihood of success if you start 10 companies than one. And so I think that's why they decided, like, hey, we can actually start a whole bunch of companies. We can use our expertise to help all of them scale, because, a lot of these crypto startup founders, a lot of them don't know what they're doing and they need a lot of help. And there's a lot of like learning trial by error. And by pooling together like this, we can share our learnings and build expertise and whatnot. So that's kind of how SuperLayers started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think is your like outstanding feature of your project compared to others?
Yeah. So I can talk about Taki specifically because that's the one that's the most fleshed out. So Taki is I called it crypto Twitter. Another way to call it, it's a social media network where tokens are a core part of it, and engage to earn is a core part of it. Meaning that ordinary users come on. If you play mobile games, it's kind of similar to that, where like you log in, there's like some daily tasks, like, go visit someone's website and make a comment on it, and make a post. And if your post gets 3 likes, you get a bonus. And users get a little bit of in-app currency as the reward for this. And there's various things you can do with it. Every user has a user coin. You can buy it and sell it. Whenever someone gets a tip, everyone who holds the user coin gets a share of it. Anyway, there's this whole in-app economy, but I think what sets it apart from other Web3 social stuff, looking at BitClout, for example, if you're familiar with that one, also was, every creator has their own creator coin, but it was very top down. It was very much like, let's get, Elon Musk and, like Kim Kardashian or whoever, let's get all the famous people in here and they'll pull all their followers in. And I don't think that was very successful. We're focusing much more on a bottom up approach of like, let's, the rewards, like ordinary users, a lot of them are in, like India, Indonesia, Vietnam. Ordinary users come in, they're like, hey, like, I can post and comment and do my social media stuff. I get a few rewards, maybe it's worth 10 cents to $1. And we've been able to build a very large user base, organically this way. Yeah, and so I think that's the big difference, is that we're very much from the ground bottom up as opposed to a top down social media site.
Okay, so if so what do you think are the challenges in your project's development like up to now?
Yeah, so I think, fundraising right now for one, but generally, these economies are trickier to balance when the token is live and it's liquid than, coming from games, right? In League of Legends, if I give everyone, too much blue essence by accident, like, it's not a big deal, right? Whereas if you accidentally double everyone's account balances, all of a sudden you've doubled the circulating supply, and, there's all sorts of knock-on effects. And so, juggling both the design of sort of what is not a closed system anymore, there's the social media site with a social economy, but also we're on like OKX and Gate, and there's these publicly traded exchanges where the price might move due to other reasons. That's been a big thing for me, me specifically as the economy design guy. Yeah, I think in general though, we've been able to grow very fast, but it seems like it's been hard to get non-crypto people in. Like, we've gotten a lot of people who are already into crypto to join our site, but like I mentioned, we believe that the growth in Web3 is going to come from mass adoption, and it's a lot harder to get those non-crypto people to be interested. And even when they are interested, they'll sign up for the site, they'll like earn tokens and whatnot, but they never actually set up their own wallet. They never actually withdraw or deposit, right? They're just playing with it entirely in the app. Yeah. So yeah, that I think that Web 2 to Web 3 adoption is still a big sticking point.
Okay, so you mentioned about it's hard to attract non-crypto. So for example, if so, what exactly your project would do to attract those non-crypto people to use your app's application, and also maybe you think of any other products learn crypto to attract those non-crypto user?
Yeah, so I think it depends from different product to product. For example, we have a fantasy gaming app, and I think the hook there is that crypto lets us do things that you couldn't in a traditional fantasy sports. So in most fantasy sports, there's athletes, and maybe you can buy and sell athletes, but there's a fixed price. Whereas in our app, there's an open market where the price fluctuates based on market supply and demand. And so when we talk about you've got $10 million and purchase the best soccer team you can find, the market prices dictate that. And so that's a whole new gameplay dimension that doesn't exist in Web 2 games. Or at least it's not harder to replicate. For Taki, for the social media one, we think the engage to earn is kind of the hook that ordinary users could come in and earn some, because when you use Twitter, you use Facebook, you use YouTube, the site is happy to have you there, right? Because you're advertising, you're an advertising target for them, but you don't get paid at all, right? And so we're like, okay, what if we brought the user into the journey? What if we brought the user into this whole value exchange that's happening? That's kind of the hook. We've been very successful at getting a lot of users, but whether we can convert them into a business model, is kind of the struggle there.
Do you think the Taki is similar to all the others social media like Facebook, Twitter? So after that, you guys gonna have more advertising requests, and maybe can be a business model? Do you think? Do you also think like that?
Yeah, that's one direction we're taking it. Right now, it's kind of the get a bunch of users and then figure out the business model later kind of thing. We've got a few different ideas. One is advertising, very traditional, standard way. Either explicitly as ads or kind of native advertising, where brands like Coca-Cola could make their own account and advertise by promoting their own posts, or posting all over. Right? There's kind of organic ways to do it inside of the economy. Another option is that in the app, every user has a user coin, and the price of your user coin goes up and down as people buy and sell it. And we collect some trading fees on that. So the hope is that it's like, it's a social media site and a stock market tied together, where you might buy or sell a creator based on like, oh, this person's creating a lot of good content and they're like saying really smart stuff, and I think they're going to keep growing, so I'm going to buy their coin. Or oh, this person keeps saying bad stuff, or they stopped posting, like I'm going to sell them. So I think there's a fun aspect of that, like kind of betting on who's going to be big or not. And so we collect some transaction fees on that. So that's another possible avenue.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's similar to like the concept of Reddit, like, upvote and downvote. So I think it's pretty interesting. So what role will your project play in the upcoming cryptocurrency or traditional market development?
Sorry, could you say that again?
So what role will your project play in the upcoming cryptocurrency and traditional market in the future?
Like what role will they play in the market?
Project? Yeah, with the project. For example, like Taki. So it's kind of like Web3 social media. So do you think it can be able to get into like combine with the traditional market development, like work together like Web3 and Web2?
Yeah, I think ultimately those will merge. Sorry, I'm not sure I totally understand the question.
Oh, okay. No problem. So the question is actually more of like thinking about the project will have any value to the traditional market. So for example, like in Vietnam right now, we have some of the project. So it's actually some of the project that we are working right now. So we are like financial group. So we have we are working on building some our own projects. So there's like a social fi project, and we think it will be able to help all those problems in the traditional market. So right now we are focusing in a lot of marketing. So I think in crypto and traditional market, they have the same, that every product needs to to do marketing and promoting PR. So some of the places, some of the project, they need to marketing. So we will be able to like help them, and then also we can do cross marketing. So if they are from traditional market, they want to involve in the crypto, we also can help them. So we just want to know like if Superlayer can be able to like bring those traditional market into the cryptocurrency.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that's definitely the dream. Like I mentioned earlier, like we believe that mass adoption is coming, and mass user adoption also means kind of mass brand adoption, mass traditional and Web3 kind of fusing. With Taki, for example, right? Like traditional brands might want to advertise, right? They might say, hey, there's Coca-Cola coin on Taki, and like if you think we're making good products, like hopefully the value of our coin goes up. With the fantasy sports, right, there's a very obvious, like it's real sports, merging with like a Web3 game. And, I think as those sports leagues get more involved, there's more and more potential there. Obviously you've probably heard of Top Shot and So Rare and all sorts of other stuff. In a lot of ways, those are already interacting with traditional markets. But
yeah, I also like noticed there are a lot of like big brand. They also list the NFT in the crypto world, and they started to advertising in Web3. So I saw some of the project. They is more of the metaverse project. So they have their own world in the project, and then they put like billboard and a lot of like advertisement products. They are there, and a lot of big brand, they also like contact to these metaverse project to like put their brand in the metaverse world. So I think it's also pretty like interesting. So yeah, I think in the future these traditional like market can be able to get into the cryptocurrency market and starting to like do like a mass advertising. So I think it's pretty cool in the future.
Definitely.
So talking about like Web3, why do you guys like decide to focus on growing in Web3 sector? Why not others like GameFi, DeFi, or NFT, or like Metaverse?
Yeah. So I think part of it is, I mentioned earlier about like we want mass adoption to come, or we should say we believe it's coming and we want to be on the leading edge of that. With that said, I think, there's a lot of overlap between Web3 and games, Web3 and metaverse stuff. I mean, I would argue that Facebook already is a metaverse, that, social media, you've got your digital avatar and you interact with people through this digital medium. It's just very low res, right? It's not like virtual reality, but yeah, we definitely lean more on the sort of mass consumer side of things. Obviously DeFi is a big space. We're not saying DeFi is not valuable, but we're that's not really our expertise. Games specifically, we leaned a little bit away from because so I come from a gaming background. Kevin Chu and some of the other founders worked at Kabam, which is a big mobile game studio. And from our experience, games are just hard to build. Like there's a lot that goes into building a game, and so if you want to take a lot of shots in different directions, games are a pretty expensive shot to take. And so we were like, we'd rather make kind of more lightweight prototype projects and try a lot of different things rather than invest deep in one or two projects. But I personally think that games are a great way to grow, right? Like it's so much more engaging when you're like financially invested in what's happening. But yeah, so I think to sum it up, we want to take a lot of shots at this mass consumer adoption thing.
Yeah, that's great. So do you guys have so for SuperLayer, do you guys have any like upcoming plans to survive in this crypto winter and waiting for the market to recover?
Yeah, just build, fundraise, cut burn rate if we need to. One interesting pivot for some of our projects is that a few of them, for example, were much more have moved from like, if you build it, they will come kind of attitude. Like, hey, we'll make a tool for people with their own communities, and people will come and start their own communities. And with the bear market, the kind of casual user adoption drops down a lot. It's more of the diehards who are still around. And so they pivoted towards making a tool for other crypto builders. So there's been some kind of strategic pivots like that where like, okay, the mass adoption might be coming in 2 or 3 years, not in the next 6 months. And so how do we rethink our strategy there? But yeah, we've got the runway, just gotta make sure we let it last as long as we need it to, make sure we keep building so that when things heat up again, we're ready to go.
Ready to the moon, right?
Yeah. One funny thing is, initially all of our projects were going to do token launches, but token launch is very much a public sale kind of thing, but retail traders are really, really down on crypto right now. So a lot of those token launch timelines got pushed back. They're like, actually, let's do the token in like 2 years.
Yeah. I saw a lot of like project right now. They keep delaying like launching their token or listing on other like platform. As also like we also have the venture side. So there are a lot of like projects we investing in, and you gotta believe that we invested last year, like up until now they keep delaying the token launch, saying that during to the bear market they cannot do it or else the project gonna crash. So I totally understand about that point. But yeah, so right. It's really my pleasure, and also thank you for joining the call today, doing the interview with me, Kaz, represent for Coincumedia. So really, thank you very much for your sharing, and also thank you for your time. It's really appreciated for us.
Well, yeah, my pleasure. It's been a fun conversation.
Okay, so right.